Hi, my name is Dr. Kerris Dillon, and the goal of this channel is to make academic subjects easier to understand. If you haven't already done so, please click the subscribe button and the like button for this channel. So in the last video, we covered schizotypal personality disorder, and in this video, we're going to cover antisocial personality disorder. So let's begin. In order for a person to be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, an individual has to have the following symptoms. A, the individual has patterns of behavior that ignore the rights of others from the age of 15 years old into the present. They also have to have 3 of the following 7 symptoms. Okay, symptom 1, the person does not follow society's norms and commits unlawful behavior, which means they could be arrested during these behavioral acts. Number 2, symptom 2, these individuals lie often. They're very deceitful. They may use aliases and or con others because they enjoy it or are trying to gain money from them. Feature 3, the person does not plan ahead. They will often kind of behave impulsively. Things kind of come at a moment's notice with these individuals. Number 4, the individual will be in physical altercations with others quite often, and they show a lot of aggressiveness. Number 5, they don't seem to care about their own well-being or the well-being of others around them. Even if they're family members, they really don't seem to care about their well-being. 6, the individual is irresponsible and often cannot hold on to jobs or their own money. And then 7, the person does not seem to have guilt concerning their own actions and behaviors. They'll often rationalize why they hurt someone else or even stole from them. B, the person has to be at least 18 years old to be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. C, the individual has a history of conduct disorder when they were children before the age of 15 years old. And then finally D, the person did not have schizophrenia or bipolar disorder before they were diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. The main features of antisocial personality disorder is the disregard or violation of the rights of other people when the person is a child, and this continues into adulthood. There are other terms that can be used interchangeably with antisocial personality disorder, including psychopathy, dissocial personality disorder, or sociopathy. In order to make a correct diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder, it is often important for the diagnostician to peruse possible records if it is possible for those records to be acquired. Please remember that a child must have conduct disorder in their childhood or adolescence before the age of 15 years old to later be able to be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. The 4 main behaviors of conduct disorder include destroying other people's property, being mean to animals or people, lying or stealing from others, and then violating the law. As the child grows into adulthood, if they continue with the violation of social norms and law, this is when they're diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. There are many behaviors that often get people with antisocial personality disorder arrested, including stealing, taking on illegal occupations, destroying other people's property, or harassing others. It is pretty normal for these individuals to lie or manipulate others for the purpose of getting money or power over others. It may even get so bad that they use false names when dealing with others and for the purpose of conning them. So individuals with antisocial personality disorder tend to make a lot of bad decisions because they do so very impulsively, and because of that, they'll burn a lot of bridges with people. So oftentimes they'll have to find new friends, get a new job, or shift even where they're living. Individuals with antisocial personality disorder are often known to be kind of irritable and aggressive toward others. It's normal for these individuals to start fights or physical altercations with people that they don't even know. they'll often put themselves into situations that are unsafe not only for themselves but for others as well that are around them. And this can even happen when they are driving. So generally you'll see a lot of speeding or aggression with speeding. There's drunk driving, and then they can get into accidents because they're taking a lot of risks while they're driving. Persons with antisocial personality disorder often take part in high-risk sexual behavior as well, but generally will not take responsibility for the consequences of this sexual behavior. So if they get someone pregnant and have a child, they usually do not help to care for the child or even children. So it's normal for these individuals to be kind of irresponsible. Individuals with this disorder often don't want a job, and even if they do work a job, they don't want or like certain aspects of it, and so they'll have trouble keeping their jobs. They'll often quit jobs because even when they don't have like another job lined up. So that's where kind of that irresponsibility factor comes in. It's normal for these persons to miss multiple days of work and then not even tell the boss why they were gone. If they were sick or family was sick, they just don't provide excuses. When it comes to the money that they make, they usually don't spend the money on bills or things that are needed for the family or even child support. A lot of their debts go into default. They don't help out family members that are in need of assistance. So it's a really difficult scenario. So when those around them get hurt by their actions, persons with antisocial personality disorder often rationalize with really poor excuses why they acted in certain ways. So it's normal for them to blame the victims or the person they're interacting with instead of themselves. A lot of the times they will not put the onus on themselves. They will state something like, well, the other person was foolish to trust me, or they deserved what was coming to them, or they're so helpless. You should take advantage of them. So these individuals will often state that the behaviors of their consequences have little impact on others when that's just not the truth. And they definitely do have consequences, but they always blame it on that other person. They may also just seem to not care about the impact that they've had on someone else's life. A lot of people say the mood of individuals with antisocial personality disorder is very indifferent or very apathetic. So it's pretty abnormal, though, for a person with antisocial personality disorder to apologize or attempt to make up for something that they've done. It just doesn't happen too often. And if it does, it's usually not very sincere. So there is an aspect to antisocial personality disorder where, normally you'll find moods that are very cynical and negative and mean, and they don't seem to care about other people's suffering. But earlier we had talked about how the name psychopathology, or essentially like a psychopath can be a certain type of, it's kind of in the category of antisocial personality disorder. And what's really unique about psychopaths is that they can be extremely charismatic, and people can kind of fall for them really quickly. And what's scary about these individuals is they have an ability to pick up on the needs of others and to act like they're fulfilling those needs, but what they're actually doing is learning how to manipulate that person to get what they want out of them. So the one thing I want to point out about psychopaths is that if somebody is considered having antisocial personality disorder and they fit those characteristics of being a psychopath, it actually impacts the chances of them going back to prison again. Those that have the characteristics of a psychopath are much more apt to have recidivism or falling back into those same illegal things and end up going back to prison because of what they're doing. Okay, so there's a couple last final things I want to talk about when it comes to antisocial personality disorder. Now, we talked about the high risk of sexual encounters with people. One of the things I want to talk about is the consequences for the children that come about in these types of relationships. So if somebody has an antisocial personality disorder within a parent, there's going to be a high chance that they will lack hygiene, that they'll be neglected, and sometimes even malnourished. They often are not taken very good care of unless there's another parent there that's trying to do that for them. So sometimes these children will seek out neighbors to try to find food from, or even steal money just to try to keep track of their basic needs. If an individual with antisocial personality disorder ends up in the military, a lot of the times they will get dishonorably discharged because they refuse to do what they're asked, and then much of the time they end up homeless. These individuals that have this disorder are more likely to die at an earlier age. I know that doesn't sound great, but it can be because of suicide. It can be because of physical fights that might end up taking their life, or by accidents, driving accidents. So individuals with antisocial personality disorder, the things that they're going to complain about out loud are going to be that they're bored really, really often. They're going to be depressed, and then they'll always talk about that there being like constant tension around them, or feeling like, the walls are kind of coming in on them. It's normal to see individuals with antisocial personality disorder also have anxiety disorders, depression, gambling problems, somatic symptom disorder, which is having pain but there's no medical origin to it, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, oftentimes substance abuse disorders. Those definitely come about. And then problems with aggressive impulses, like we've covered a couple times. It's also normal for someone that has conduct disorder as a child to also have ADHD, and whether or not that follows into adulthood just kind of all depends upon the person. So they can also have ADHD even into adulthood. If a child with conduct disorder also suffers from unstable parenting, child neglect, or child abuse, they're more likely to have antisocial personality disorder when they get to be adults. All right, so antisocial personality disorder is found within 0.2 to 3.3% of the population, and those individuals are usually in prison. Normally, when you have a prison population, you're going to see 70% or more of that population have antisocial personality disorder. So this can even be higher in populations that struggle with poverty, and we don't kind of know what that connection is right now, but we know that we see it more often. Now, sometimes as the individual grows older, the symptoms in the 20s and 30s aren't as profound as what they are given the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So those symptoms start to dissipate, which is really good. So 40 years old is kind of that point where things start to dissipate and change. If an individual has a first-degree relative that has antisocial personality disorder, they are more likely to have the disorder as well. So there's a biological component to it, but there's also an environmental component to it as well. If there's a biological connection between relatives, the individual is also more likely to have substance abuse problems, and then as well as somatic symptom disorder along with that antisocial personality disorder. It's important to note again, biological and environmental impact antisocial personality disorder. This disorder is definitely found to be more prevalent in males than in females, but some scientists think there's a possibility that females are underdiagnosed, with the population, because we have seen a rising trend in more and more females with antisocial personality disorder ending up in prison too. So I think we'll know about that more as time goes on, but I have taken up plenty of your time. I think this was a really important video because it's something that impacts a lot of our prison population, but I was quite surprised to find out that a lot of our psychopaths are actually CEOs of companies. So there is a fabulous book out there that talks about some of the CEOs that are currently present in the American culture and how they run their companies without feeling any empathy toward their workers. So I'll let you kind of find that one if you can, find that book if you can, but it was fascinating. All right. So thank you guys so much. I love doing this channel for you. It is a blast. I think we've got about 33 more mental illness videos to do, and then we'll be done with the DSM. So thank you again, and I will talk with you soon.